You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts now.
All right, Black and White Sports supporters, we're going to talk about the Las Vegas Raiders because we have a couple of things here, and they're both involving Josh McDaniels and sort of some peel back the curtain things. Number one, we got something related from Josh McDaniels as far as what they've done to the offense to try to make it friendlier for rookie Aidan O'Connell. Now, point of fact, something you need to know about the Patriots offense, it is extremely complicated. It is known around football to be the most complicated offense in all of the league. Bill O'Brien, Josh McDaniels. That's the reason why somebody like Chad Johnson, Ocho Cinco, couldn't pick up the offense. Why you would see people go to the Patriots and they could not learn the offense. So it's an extremely hard off. It's one of the reasons I thought Mac Jones was going to work, because he learned the offense and was helping Cam Newton learn it. After Cam had already been there for a year, he started helping Cam Newton out. Well, Josh McDaniels, of course, got his ass run off by Mark Davis. I don't blame him. So we're going to talk about the fact that the offense has been pared down greatly for Aidan O'Connell. And but first, we're going to look at something very interesting, because The Athletic had their mailbag with their insider, NFL insider, and there was a question asked by a Raiders fan, simply put, wow, and how in the world do you ever hire Josh McDaniels to begin with? And this answer is absolutely, it's not surprising. Neither one of these answers is surprising. One of the things, well, we've talked about both these things. They hired him in part because they thought they were getting Tom Brady. It was part of the equation. And the other part was, plain and simple, he got hired because the national media was so high on Josh McDaniels as a coaching candidate that Mark Davis got caught up in it. So here is the actual question that was given to The Athletic right here. Was hiring McDaniels really just all about trying to lure Tom Brady to the Raiders? Now, we know Brady and Mark Davis have a close relationship. I don't think he would have needed Josh McDaniels to have got him there. I think you could have had somebody else. And I cannot imagine in any world that with Tom Brady and Mark Davis already having a business relationship, okay? Because Brady owns a piece of the Las Vegas Aces that is owned by Mark Davis. I cannot imagine he did not have some kind of an influence on Mark Davis actually firing Josh McDaniels. Do you notice, and we talked about this, Rob Gronkowski, Tom Brady, neither one have come out championing Josh McDaniels. Neither one of them at all. In fact, Gronk's been he's been negative about McDaniels. So it's kind of odd that McDaniels was hired in part to get Brady. Were they really, could Josh McDaniels really have turned off Tom Brady? That's weird. Was hiring McDaniels really just it's early in the morning, folks, really just all about trying to lure Tom Brady to the Raiders? It was part of it. But I blame the national media for telling Mark Davis that McDaniels was in demand around the league and was just waiting for the right third chance. I think that's very interesting. And that's in part true, folks. Josh McDaniels and Kyle Shanahan were the two leading candidates for the 49ers job when Kyle Shanahan got that job. And it came right down to the wire. It was going to be Louis Riddick, that's right, from ESPN, and Josh McDaniels hired as a package as GM and head coach with the 49ers. And then, of course, the Colts actually hired Josh McDaniels, and he backed out. And then eventually he came over to the Raiders. But, yeah, he was considered like a top 3 coaching candidate every year for like 6 years. And he either got hired or he wouldn't take the interviews or whatever. And obviously, Josh McDaniels, his attitude, the Patriots way, all of that, it's a disaster for any team. And it's also just proof in point. We've talked about the Peyton Hillis, Josh McDaniels' wife thing. If that is true, that tells you right there Josh McDaniels lacks the ability to separate personal issues with talent on your team. Because Peyton Hillis went on to ball out with the Cleveland Browns. Now, he made a position change. He was a fullback with the Broncos, became a running back with the Browns. But obviously, the Browns knew how to use Peyton Hillis, and he would go on to have one of the greatest running back years we had ever seen and become the Madden cover guy. So that's just something to think about. Now, I found this interesting, and I'm just going to throw it in to the video because it seemed Garoppolo was not clicking with McDaniels. Another Patriots guy was not clicking with McDaniels. The question is, would he go back to Garoppolo, Antonio Pierce, over O'Connell? The other day was a prime example. I sat back, I'm watching that Raiders game, and I'm thinking to myself, you know, if Jimmy Garoppolo is healthy and he's still theoretically the guy that was with the Niners, and I'm a Niners fan, so I watched a lot of Jimmy. Jimmy Garoppolo could have beat that Chiefs team the other day. And but I don't know what's wrong with Garoppolo, and we haven't seen Garoppolo since Josh McDaniels got fired. You almost got to wonder if that would reboot Jimmy Garoppolo, that maybe he's not the biggest Josh McDaniels guy, which is interesting because he went there and signed, but that might have been Jimmy's only option. Maybe nobody else wanted Jimmy, which if you look at quarterbacking around the league, that may or may not have been a mistake by some of these teams. So the insider does answer this. It has to be an option if O'Connell continues to struggle. A month off would definitely help Garoppolo because of the back thing. He hasn't used the injuries as an excuse, but that makes more sense than just becoming terrible all of a sudden. Yeah, I don't get it. The drop-off in Garoppolo's play, because I'm going to tell you, if Garoppolo would have stayed on the same trajectory and Brock Purdy never comes in last year, there are people bringing up Garoppolo for MVP last year if he continues to play the way he was, because he was having a career year. And they were really winning ball games in San Francisco with Garoppolo. So I thought this was a great signing by the Raiders. I really did. I thought they'd win 10 games just because of Jimmy. Clearly, I was wrong. Insider, the Raiders have dumped over 75% of Josh McDaniels' playbook. Now, this goes back to exactly what I said, known as the hardest offense in the league to learn. Right here. 4 months from now, the Raiders could have a new GM, a new head coach, and a new quarterback. For now, the team is trying to hold on to their slim playoff chances, but the transition away from Josh McDaniels has been no small task. One of the first moves by new coaching staff was the decision to start Aidan O'Connell, and it sounds like the process involved in featuring a rookie quarterback has been a lot more involved than simply making the announcement. Not only was the playbook built for Jimmy Garoppolo, a report last week indicated that O'Connell still wasn't proficient in McDaniels' playbook. To simplify things going forward, it sounds like a huge portion of McDaniels' playbook has been thrown out. Quote, the coaching staff had to dump the majority of the playbook, over 75% of the playbook, because the team couldn't do it. You got to wonder if there's other offensive players that were struggling in Josh's offense, just understanding it. I do find it interesting that Jacoby Myers has fallen off the way he has, and then Devontae Adams has sort of risen back up, right? We know Jacoby, obviously, is an expert in that offense because he played with the Patriots. One detail that seems obvious in recent weeks is that the Raiders have been running their scripted plays extremely well. The offense looked very good in early possessions against the Dolphins and the Chiefs, but fell apart in both games after that. We see that a lot when the plays are scripted, the first 20 of them, quarterback runs them great. When they start having to ad-lib and do all that, things start falling apart. In theory, the offense should perform better as O'Connell becomes more familiar with the playbook. He isn't a quarterback that will make a lot of plays happen outside of their design, so it makes sense that he hasn't been great when the coaches call plays that he has not rehearsed. So that's really interesting, and it's yet another indictment of Josh McDaniels. You know? I mean, it's like the whole thing was just a nightmare. His offensive play calling, I'm sure his attitude and lack of rapport with players, which is something we've really talked about. I do find it interesting that there is a thought that the Raiders could pivot back to Jimmy Garoppolo. I will say this. I can't imagine they're going to stay with Jimmy after this season unless Jimmy's willing to renegotiate his contract down into that backup money place where he was at with the Niners. $6 million a year seems much more realistic. If he's willing to do that, maybe he keeps the job with the Raiders as the backup, right? Became very valuable for the Niners last year before Garoppolo got hurt yet again. You get the point, right? So tell me what you think, black and white sports supporters. I mean, Josh McDaniels was a complete train wreck. Raiders looked good for a long time in that game against the Chiefs the other day. Their defense is really performing well, I think. If they didn't have a rookie quarterback and they had a veteran of some, if they had a Derek Carr, oh God, Raiders fans are like, really? We had Derek Carr and Josh McDaniels run him off. Yeah, I know. And Derek's not killing it with the Saints, but I think you get my point, you know. Tell me what you think, black and white sports supporters. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.